Hello, everybody. It's Friday night, and it is time for the Weekender once again. On this week's show, we have a ton of fun with fantasy. Check out some spectacular historics through our Indie of the Week, and Ben attempts to seduce myself and John with a whole new range of miniatures and games. Sit back, relax, because your weekend starts here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Weekender. I'm joined this week by John and Ben to take you through all the hobby news that's caught our eye over the last 7 days. And it's been an extravagant week full of extravagant things. For people who've not been paying attention to Midgard, the Lardies had their 8th Midgard video up on Thursday. Yeah. And this time it was about playing fantasy games, not just historics. So... that confused Rich. But, you know, he got through it. Fantasy things, what? Yeah, so definitely keep your eye out for those. Not that I'm looking forward to my copy arriving or anything.
Nothing of the sort.
No, nothing of the sort. It's a good time of the year. Everybody seems to be launching rules in October, November this year. The changing of the year has become the changing of the rule set.
Yeah.
My Vietnam rules have arrived as well, so I'll be looking to do something with those. Oh, John. I meant to bring these down during the week, John, so I could throw them in front of you and we could bask in the Vietnam goodness. Daredevil's in the way. Get out of the way, Daredevil.
As the leaves fall, we begin to leaf through our books.
Yes.
Oh. No, Ben. Stop that.
Yes. Oh, yeah. 68. Yeah.
Tour of Duty. I see a red door and no. You're all too young to remember Tour of Duty, the TV show that started with Painted Black.
I mean, I remember the song.
I hate you
but
so
I know
much.
the song, but I don't know.
That's how I discovered the Rolling Stones in song, because that song was so awesome. Anyway, yes. Rules aplenty, rules coming everywhere. And this is actually an introduction to our Indie of the Week. Oh, how mysterious am I? Huh?
By ways and means, he gets us there.
Not because we're doing anything Vietnamese, although there are some corking Vietnam ones out there. But Piers, who does a lot of work with Warwick, and also is responsible for most of, if not all of, the miniature photography in the book, which looks spanking gorgeous. He is a huge fan of 20mm. And in particular, if anybody's ever seen his project over at OnTableTop.com, they will know the World War II 20mm he favors the most is AB. And we've never taken a look at AB.
What?
So I thought we should take a look at AB.
Yeah, probably a good idea. Yeah.
I thought so. It threw me in there. And this week, our Indie of the Week will be a serene journey through the smaller scale. So
I thought you were going to say, an Indie of the Week will not be AV figure.
I just keep throwing up Whiplash, what have yous. So yes, we'll get into it very, very, very briefly before we start. Tony Barton, the man responsible for it, has been doing sculpting and the like for years for different companies, also Eureka.
Right, yes. Yeah.
Fame before he started AB himself. He does a lot of museum display stuff.
Okay.
And he also has the most magnificent tash you will ever see on a man anywhere in the world.
Wow.
Ever. I mean, he screams Renaissance / Witchfinder General in equal measure.
I was going to say that is a Civil War mustache.
Oh, it's corking. It's cracking. It's gorgeous. He did start off doing 15s originally, moved up to 18s or /20s for his World War II. And the reason he does that, if I can find it in the little thing, is because of how he sculpts. I thought I'd show you this because this is phenomenal and also very different from how a lot of people do it. So he actually uses Fimo, which is a polymer clay. So it's just like plasticine, except you stick it in the oven and it bakes hard. And he doesn't bother with armatures. So he starts with a sketch.
Okay.
And then sculpts it directly onto a tile. And then fires it. And once he's fired it and taken it out and it's hard, he then has to flip it over because one side is now flat, sculpt it away, and then sculpt the second half.
Wow.
It's a tremendous example of how somebody approaches things. Concept very different from most sculptors. And you can see the detail he gets in on his little 20mm figures is gorgeous because it's just a case of building it up. And Fimo, like Sculpey, you can, if anybody wants to start experimenting with figure sculpting or conversions or whatever it happens to be, it's a very forgiving material and you can fire it multiple times. So you fire it, it goes hard, add a new layer. When you're ready, fire it. You don't have to worry about only having a limited amount of time before it cures off or anything else. So you can take as much time as you need and you can fix mistakes endlessly until you're happy with it and then go back and go, now it's time to wing this in the oven. And it's like it's a super low oven for like 10 or 15 minutes. I know Sculpey is the same. I haven't played around with Fimo since I was a kid. But yeah, so I just thought I would show that because he ends up with these tremendously well detailed 20mm figures that then obviously get cast up in lovely metal like God intended. And then you get Bish, primed, painted, Bosch. I just thought that was a delightful little piece on the site that I know most people won't look near because people are fickle. You're fickle people. You are. I know you are. But I liked it. So
it's nice seeing an insight into the production of it.
Oh yeah, yeah. And when you read the bit about the potted history, he mentioned sculpting on a tile, and I'm thinking, and I couldn't wrap my head around how he got both sides. And then I seen that he doesn't even try. You know, just squash it flat and work away. Anyway, so some of these are more populated than others. World War One, for example, contains a tank crew lounging around the outside of a massive World War One tank, except there is no World War One tank. It's just the crew. So we're not bothering opening that. We will start with the ancients, though, because they're really nice and everybody loves some Greeks. People may fear them when they bring gifts, but I like them. So that's how it goes.
Always with the horses. Jeez.
Yeah, well, you know, fish bite hooks, Trojans like horses. That's how it goes. And yes, John, the majority is World War II, and we will get there. So fear not.
Yeah.
But yeah,
he will bind his time.
I'd like to show these because I mean the little 18s are absolutely gorgeous. Little tiny hoplites, Corinth style full faced helms, Sparta with that very distinctive conical one based off their old felt caps. Including his ossifer with his lovely stick of "I will thump you if you don't get back into line." His stick of authority. Who knew that the Spartans based their military structure around South Park? It's true though. It is true.
Yeah.
But they're a classic little set. You can get your hoplites, get your musicians. You can get Thessaly cavalry. Oh my god! If you want cavalry. They're just there to drive off the other skirmishers and peltasts and cavalry so that the huge phalanxes can get down to a proper man's war, slapping away in the middle for hours and hours. Filthy mercenaries, if you want to bring some Scythian archers. Thankfully, Silo need not apply. And two types of slingers, your standard and your staff sling, for being proper peltasty.
From the looks of it, then you buy per figure and then you get a random one of the two. Basically, I suppose if you went for like the Peltas set, or is it?
Oh, you're going Peltas set, chuckle. Yeah, I think in most cases they are. Well, these are 18s, so yeah, price per figure, 69p per 130 for a horseman. prices are fairly consistent across the site. So,
Yeah.
And depending what, I mean, obviously some people will be looking at this going, what's the point of 2 guys or 3 guys, whatever it happens to be. A lot of people playing DBX systems, you've only got 12 elements. It tells you what goes on a base. So light troops, you have 2 to a base. Heavy troops, you have 3 to a base and things like that. So you never need a huge amount for Ancients, which is another reason why Ancients
automatically
is just
need to get less, I suppose.
Amazing. Cool. Yeah. You can, I mean, a couple of quid in your pocket. Whatever your change you currently have there at the moment is probably enough to run a DBX game. It's just how good Ancients are. The Sassanids, obviously, big wicker shields and tons of fun with bows. I've seen somebody complaining about how come the Persian Empire lost every war, or why was the Persian Empire so good if they lost every war? And it's just like, I think you're listening to not enough of the right people, matey boy.
You're listening to Greek propaganda.
Yeah, pretty much. if Greeks and Roman were always kicking their ass, how come they had an empire that lasted, 1,200 years or whatever through various dynasties? But again, you can have your horse archers, Mianis, or everybody's favorite, the impact cavalry of the day, the cataphract.
God, I love cataphracty. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So cool.
Well, you would. So much fun to
Horse
paint.
tanks.
It's all just coloured armour in different leaves of colour. So it's all good. You two can have a royal party. Because there is no party like a royal party, apparently.
I still remember an episode of, what was it called? The one on Time Commanders.
Yes.
Where they were in charge of the cataphract and they charged them in and they just left them there.
Oh, no.
Didn't pull them back out again and charge them in later. They just left them there. I was watching these poor cataphract just get ripped to pieces and I was like, what the hell, man? You guys don't know what you're doing.
that is harsh. That is very harsh. Romans, I'm not going to look at Romans because everybody's seen Romans. They are Romans. They are early imperial for people of that time period and ilk. If you fancy doing your gladiator style, you can do these things. ACW is a little bit older, so they are 15 rather than the sort of the larger 18 that he's moved into. But again, really nice figures if you're looking to put together ACW forces. And again, the nice thing about brother against brother is, depending on which regiment they were, they could interchange easily between Confederacy Union, just with a different paint job.
Different paint job, a couple of different hats, maybe. In many cases, they just wore the same hats anyway.
In some cases, same hats and same. I mean, I think there was one Confederate regiment that started the war Union regiment that started the war in Confederate grey. So
stop shooting us.
There's a lot of stuff going on. But you can see things like Zouaves. The more interesting Fez ones are obviously always better. But
Fez equals cool.
Kepis have a place too. Again, marching in line. Really nice.
And again, I think as considering what you said earlier as well, I quite like that once you get down to like 18 mil and that kind of thing, you become slightly more representative rather than accurate to levels of models within units and all that kind of thing. It becomes more of an idea of like the scale of the larger battle rather than individual regiments or units and stuff. So
it's one that's a constant source of argument when it comes to terrain, because I always think for small scale games, you're better having smaller scale terrain. So for 15 mil / 18 mil Confederacy, they've got them marching through a village. If you have the village actually scaled to 50 mil, it doesn't make sense because the footprint of the men for the regiment doesn't make sense. So you're thinking that's a representation of a regimental unit. So if you have the buildings at like 6 mil and then you have a whole village there, that makes more sense when a block 80 by 20 comes past. That's what would, they would dwarf the village as they walk past it. Some people like that, some people don't. Depends on your point of view. But omelette, eggs, horses for courses.
Horse eggs? What? No.
Horse eggs. The horse that lays the golden egg. But yeah, it's really nice stuff for Gnomevembers as well. So
nice.
Always good to have. And Napoleonics. We're
slowly getting through the
Don't
years.
worry. I'm not going to go through all of these because you can see this is where
there's a lot of Napoleonics.
This is where the meat and potatoes come from. There's a lot, and as we've discovered from looking at Napoleonics in the past, there are a lot of different eras where uniforms change and composition of forces change as well.
Yeah.
I've not even looked into the little vignettes. I was going to go to the British Peninsula because I know your favourite of that. I know you like your British Peninsula.
Because sharp, brah.
But I will very briefly pull up the vignettes. So even if people aren't actually planning on wargaming in the era, you can put together a little vignette. Sergeant Ewart and the Eagle of the 45th. Is that the first captured eagle? The one that Sharp and Harper stole?
Yeah, it could be.
I think it is. Because I'm fairly certain, because Ewart's a Irish name as well, and it was an Irish guy who captured the first colour. They've got the 69th losing theirs at Quatre Bras, which are fun little things, obviously. Teeny tiny little pictures for the teeny tiny little men.
Yeah.
But yeah. But you think if you're doing a display like that, you could be doing it on, just break out your old CDs, find your copy of I Should Be So Lucky, and then just base it on that. We all have one. You know you do. All have it. Anyway. Sharp.
Good use for that Ricky Martin album I've got somewhere stuffed down the back of it.
Top of the Pops 96 is a good base for it as well.
Yep. Now that's what I call music, although
yes, it.
Mine now what I call music are on cassette, so I'll say nothing. Well, say anybody who's ever looking to do flags for historical periods, this is the best way to do flags. Have them in cases. So before they take the case off, the colours, that way you don't have to worry about them at all. That's
good idea.
Big leather case over it, and don't worry about it. Move on with your life. And that way, if you've got two cased colours at the front of your regiment, nobody can tell you that you've got them the wrong way around. The amount of times I see regimental and king's colours are incorrectly put on, and somebody underneath commenting on it, you're just going, If they're in cases, nobody knows. They don't know.
Nobody knows.
They can't tell you. A little ossifer party. Can I ambiguate the little ossifer party? Can a little. There you go. Is this just ways to make your center infantry and line infantry officers, depending on the game system you're using, you may require some form of command bases around, which is always good to have. But as you can see, you've got your center company, drummers, sergeants, flank company. Presumably grenadiers are hiding somewhere as well, although technically I suppose they are flank company anyway, so I digress. Somewhere there are Scots. There we go, that's what we're here for. 18mm bagpiper.
Nice.
Get in, and then some Scots in kilts, because everybody enjoys painting tartan so much more when it's 18mm.
Which way easier?
Way easier. Nobody can see whether you've mixed the weft and the wharf.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
It's all good. So as you would imagine, the ranges are extensive. Some bigger than others for the Napoleonics. Some may never get another look in. Who knows? What's in there might be all they're getting. But if you're after any of the coalition armies in a big way, they're all here in glorious.
I was going to say, when you showed off the menu, like, pretty much all the theatres looked like they were covered anyway, so different time periods.
There's one you don't see often, the Ottomans. So everybody likes the cavalry. Now, we'll have a look at World War II, because I know John will gut me like a fish when I'm off next week if we don't. But I'm going to start with miscellaneous, John, and then you can have dealer's choice. You can steer us after that.
Yeah, sure.
Because the miscellaneous is handy to have, for it contains dead cows.
Good start.
Some guns and a ton of stowage. And really, at the end of the day, that's what you need. There's a ton of stowage to slap over everything.
Yep.
Across the board, it's infantry figures, but because this is 20mm, any of your 1/72 plastic kits from any plastic manufacturer, hat, Cavalry, Airfix, what have you, Zvezda, Plastic Soldier, whoever, you can bulk out your forces, get the armor you need or whatever else it happens to be by the medium of those. In this case, then you just go in and grab what you want after. I will say your last three there are I wouldn't bother, John. Okay. Italy, France are just crews for vehicles. Right. Poland, I will open Poland. Poland only has one entry. Okay. What do you think it is, John, before I open it? What would be the best Polish thing to have if you're going to have one?
It's going to be the little tank, isn't it? Please?
It's not, unfortunately. It's not the tank. It's Polish Paris, in case you want to do Arnhem.
Hey!
Oh, cool. So that's quite nice to have.
Sosabowski's brigade.
Just checking your uniform, General, to see which side
you're on.
Oh, Gene Hackman, you absolute legend.
General Browning, what of the Germans?
So good. Anyway, that aside, let me get me back in. Who do you want to go to?
Let's go Britain.
Yes.
I want to see Britain.
Infantry, support, artillery, or tank crews?
Artillery, please.
Ooh.
I'll take artillery for 10.
This just in. What garden made me weep?
6s, 17s, Bofors, and crews. That's all right. Nice to see a Bofors.
Yeah, both are artillery.
Crews for different theatres as well.
Mm.
Yeah, oh well.
Africa stuff, so. Yeah.
As we've seen from Pierce's extensive, I think he calls it the never-ending project. Is this?
Yes.
The Infinite Project? Yeah, he is covering, he is attempting a one-to-one recreation of all theatres in World War II. But things like, I mean, even there's your airborne crew.
For your little pack howitzers and stuff. Yeah.
Some little expeditionary force. So, you go from your very early war.
Your why do we bother gun.
Yes. Yep. God bless it. God bless it. To Battle of Britain.
Good old Bofors.
Stop.
Boom,
Stop.
boom, boom.
Stop blowing up my streets, you son of a bitch.
Stop sending those V1s over.
Your airborne howitzers.
Mm.
So, yeah,
the
nice
original
collection.
Rocket Man. Yeah.
Even North Africa. A tiger in Africa. We've done there. I've gone the wrong way, haven't I? Reset me back to regular size. There we go.
Yeah.
It's British Artillery Command.
All looks pretty tidy to me. Of course it would. It's a guy that sculpts all the time. Like, he's going to be good.
Got a little blackboard.
That's cool.
I'm assuming that's not a blackboard. I'm assuming somebody in the comments will tell me what that is.
I want it to be a blackboard.
I want it to be a blackboard.
Yeah, I want someone to paint it in and then get little tiny chalk.
Oh, if it's battery command, it probably is a chalkboard for them to be writing down like a range card. Yeah, they've got an area plotted out for them from their spotters.
Yeah.
Why did I spotters?
Nice.
Flying because I was like they're probably in a Piper Cub or something.
Yeah. Sticking with Britain.
Go for it. Infantry.
Get the lads off the boats. Yeah.
Again, a fine selection of figures. I will say for people looking at 20mm as well, games like Fight for Victory, Bolt Action, Chain of Command, all of them play, I think, much better in 20mm. You can put a lot more terrain and the like on the table at that smaller scale. Don't change any ranges at all. Don't change any distances. Just make the figure smaller and have more fun.
For the most part, it would be better if you just took ranges out of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that can't fire across a 6x4 table is a pistol.
Which makes sense.
And that's it. So otherwise, everybody else is good to go.
Yep.
Love the infantry and slit trenches as well. They're really nice.
Oh, that's a nice little bonus thing.
Yeah. I've got a set of these and 15 for Flames of War. Many moons ago, I got a set. Not
you can see where you can see where the display influence comes in with a lot of these sets, as opposed to it just inherently being a wargaming affair.
Yep.
So. Yeah. Obviously, the fact he's done museum displays leads into some of the sculpting style for pieces, like making sure that you've got the accuracy of having certain things within the gun crew having the little spool of wire so they can run out the radios and things like that.
Yep.
I mean, I don't even think you see many of them running around the place in 28mm carrying those. So yeah, there's a certain exacting detail, which is great to see. There's Chindits drink. If you want to do stuff in Burma.
Nice.
And even things like Sikh as well.
Always good to see. Yeah.
Everybody's favourite spring launched thing.
The Piat.
Piat. I did see somebody the other day congratulate it on the grounds that it was the only anti-tank weapon of the war that you could fire from inside a house in cover without worrying about the back,
no back,
the
blast.
blowback. Yeah, absolutely hammering you. So yeah, go Springs, go Team Springs.
Yeah.
But if it was anything bigger than a half track, there was no point in shooting at it anyway.
I mean, those Burmese were great.
So that cover would be gone in a second, regardless. Yeah. You'd just alert the tank to the fact that you were there. So, dink.
Hear a plink and be like, oh.
There's then when they open the hatch to go, yes, you knocked, and you shoot them quickly. Gotcha. Weren't expecting me.
The Piat Inquisition.
Could be that. We'll saunter away from Britain and have a look at something in one of the others.
Go on, John, pick another one.
See, I know the German stuff's going to be great looking anyway. So,
Soviets.
Want to see if there's any unusual Soviet stuff in here.
Where do we want to go then? We've not looked at support.
Yeah, let's look at support. I was thinking support because I know what a Soviet infantryman looks like. I think everyone knows what a Soviet infantryman looks like.
Just a man running around without a gun, looking for someone who has a gun.
It's just a homeless guy wrapped in a blanket. Possibly with a rifle in their hands.
A lot of drivers, tank riders, and crew, which is nice. In fact, Soviets sitting. Could be on a park bench, could be in the back of a lorry, just sitting.
Just sitting.
Could be,
sitting on a bench in Berlin at the end of the war.
Mm-hmm.
Could be there as well, visiting the zoo. Nothing left in it.
No.
Oh, that dressing station's lovely. Just dragging wounded in on
field
blankets.
Nurses and all. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Fancy gorgeous. Next, please.
Tank Cruise.
Tank Cruise. Not to be confused with Terry Crews.
Soviet linebacker.
No.
There's tank crew communicating via the medium of red flag. My favourite type of tank crew.
That's the 41 to 43 before they had radios.
We go this way. Follow the lead. Follow
the one with the red. Yeah.
Mother hen and chicks. Or hen and chicks.
Is that what it was actually for? Like,
yes.
Follow me?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Because they didn't have communication between them. So
the only tanks that had radios was the command tank for the platoon.
Oh wow!
And he could only talk to the brigade commander, who could only talk to the divisional commander.
Wow!
So the individual tank platoons just had to watch the lead tank, and if he got knocked out, they just stopped. They just went, "I don't know what I'm doing anymore."
What, crikey!
It's really nice cruise.
So much for your Soviet steamroller. Like if you shot the right guy, it stopped.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I know the Flames. I don't know if they still do. Years ago, Flames used to have the rule hen and chick.
They mimicked it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So it meant nobody could go further forward than the leader. They always had to stay behind the command tank. So even if you're getting in a position where you're going, "Whoa, I'd like to sweep around here," no, it's not how they operated. I like this little Gaz Jeep.
You don't get the Gaz Jeep though. It's just a crew.
I don't think so. It'll just be the crew.
It looks like it's just a crew. Yeah.
Same as t'others.
Has he referenced what size that vehicle is though, like scale wise?
Well, it'll be 20 mils or 1/72nd. So
is that what 72nd translates to?
Yeah. So should be relevant. And there's other companies out there doing stuff in 20s as well.
Yep.
It might be that he has the tanks maybe small enough for him to cast himself, but it seems like an awful lot of a pain in the arse considering how he sculpts.
And why would you sculpt something that is available nearly everywhere else?
Yeah.
In some form or another.
Not
so many crews. That's so cool. Yeah.
We'll have one quick look at the infantry before we run off. I'm not depopulating the screen anymore.
Are we going to get Stalingrad infantry that just have no guns? Just knives and rifles, broken bottles.
Everybody's favorite with drum mag, which I believe, even though they came with stick mags as well, I've never seen anybody field one with a stick mag in anger.
They didn't use the drum mag a lot with they used the stick mag with the earlier model, the PPS. Was it just the PPH or the PPS? I have a Soviet guy sat next to me that's like, he would know.
He threw peanuts at his head.
I should throw peanuts at his head, but I don't have any peanuts.
No.
I'll throw a Tootsie Roll, though.
Yep,
do that.
Work.
Yeah.
I missed.
Like a good Soviet.
Yeah.
And some really nice poses as well. I like the run and gun.
Proper attacking poses for a lot of the miniatures, which is nice, yeah.
Was one of them wearing the body armor there? Did I see see the top row second from the right?
Is that the one?
Or is that just...
I'm not sure, I think... Who can say?
Oh, it's just the...
Just a bedroll or whatever.
Just the bedroll kind of casting it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Almost thought he was a pioneer for a second.
You probably find there are in here somewhere, but
I would say so. Yeah. PTRD.
Oh, Mario, I've overshot John. Sorry.
I feel like I should have when you pointed at the Maxim, I should have done the Leonardo DiCaprio of that because we've seen that recently.
Yes. Tow your Maxims. Scouts wearing amoeba suits.
Not the amoeba suit.
Amoeba suit?
Yeah.
What is an amoeba suit?
It's a one-piece sniper camouflage thing, but the pattern on it is like really weird black blobby things, and people just call it amoebas.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, with this big...
Yeah. It's the easiest way to cosplay as a World War II Soviet soldier.
Right.
Buy an amoeba suit and buy a gun. Of something.
Gun, doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can have German guns in there too. You could be running around with a K-98 if you felt like it.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Interesting.
Right. Soviets for the White Scout car. Oh, there we are. Oh, there's Soviet dead. Oh, I should have got them for Shay.
I like it. I like that on the page that it's the Soviet heroes and the Soviet dead beside them on the webpage.
You need to buy those at a rate of 1 hero pack for every 10 or 15 dead packs to maintain accuracy. But there you go. They're one step away from Berlin.
They're one step away from being a Soviet propaganda poster.
Aren't they though?
That is exactly what that is.
That'd be cool set into like a picture frame, like wood thing with like a 3D background. Oh,
we're going to have to get Shay onto this real soon. I know he's getting annoyed at me, so.
He gets annoyed at everyone. I find it best not to talk to him.
Yeah, I know he gets annoyed at everyone. It's fine.
Right, that's enough of that. AB figures, definitely worth checking out if you fancy some of the smaller scale stuff. I will find the link for Pierre's project and pass it across to Ben, who'll stick it below. Because if you want to see up close, personal, and a ton of painted stuff,
nice big pictures.
Piers has been working on them for years. In fact, anybody who's picked up things like Battle Grip rules. We'll probably have seen a lot of these miniatures painted up in the actual books as well, because Piers has done a lot of the miniature photography for those. And even, I think at one stage, the Plastic Soldier Company boxes as well. He was doing stuff for those using theirs.
Oh,
and they do 1/72 vehicles in plastic.
Mm-hmm.
At least they did. So you may be able to grab some of the bits and pieces you need if you fancy going that way, or do Ancients and Napoleonics in 18. It's all good. Right. Time for some news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
Hello, we are back for some news, and we're going to be kicking things off with spooky Spectre stuff, even though the spooky Spectre season is gone.
Oh my god, it all works together. So yes, last week for Halloween, the folks at Spectre Miniatures, announced that they're going to be working on a new supplement, rather fittingly, that is going to delve into the Lovecraftian and the Mythos era of 1930s America. So Spectre Mythos is going to be appearing possibly in the next few months, early 2025. It's going to be a brand new bolt-on to their existing game, which is called Spectre Operations. If you've not heard of Spectre Operations, it's a modern military style Call of Duty-esque, but very realistic take on conflict on the tabletop in sort of like late 90s through to the modern day, like cutting edge, bleeding edge stuff. Where most often you'll be controlling a group of like operatives, special forces members, and they'll be going up against, in most cases, a GM who will be dictating what's happening in the game around you. And that kind of feeds really nicely into the idea of what they're looking to do with the Mythos game that they're working on as well. So they're going to be doing miniatures for the likes of investigators, FBI agents, cultists, townsfolk, monsters, vehicles, all sorts of different things. A lot of it done through their sort of. He's from Innsmouth. Look at him. I love how people can immediately tell. Yeah, Innsmouth man. It's his big fishy face. But yeah, I think that the GM style of game format will suit this kind of Mythos style investigation on the tabletop, because it's very character focused, because it's very individual. Soldiers, in this case, agents, going around investigating buildings, coming up against individuals like civilians and stuff on the tabletop as well. I think that feeds really nicely into the idea of it being a story-led narrative game driven by somebody else, or maybe even just a scenario itself with some AI-style rules in there as well. And I can't wait to see what they do with this one. Wow, that's very true. Yeah.
I like this. I like this for many reasons. People know I adore the cock. It's one of my favorite things.
Yes.
And I enjoy the fact that it has Rising Soon going on there as well, which is a nice little nod to Ryla. I'm not loving the fact there isn't a single elder sign of protection in amongst all that scribbling in the background there.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah.
So I know you said that's cultist heavy there. But it'd be fascinating to see what direction they go in. Because this is, I mean, they've done pulp, but they've never gone fantastical yet that I can remember.
No, yeah. Yeah, because Spectre Operations, they did, obviously, that's the proper modern military style stuff. Very, as I say, like cutting edge. They did a supplement that was more World War II focused.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then they've done like a pulpy Hollywood one as well with like Baba Yaga and stuff and that kind of thing. And like criminals from Hollywood movies and things. So they have gone into that route. But then tying that back into the fact that they have already looked at things like historical profiles and historical weapons anyway for World War II means that they have that kind of DNA to step a little bit further back and look at the 1930s as well. But obviously, you know, one of the big things about Lovecraftian horror and mythos is that when you actually start firing guns, it's probably already over. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do and how they integrate things like investigation mechanics and stuff into the game. And all that kind of
SOP
stuff.
for a sweep and clear in Cthulhu is set fire to the building, having nailed all the doors and windows shut.
Yes.
Preferably from the outside. And if you happen to be inside, just bite the bullet.
Yeah.
Literally. Just, you know, it's better to go out that way. You don't want to hang on it for any length of time. But I'm really hoping that we hope we'll see a lot of interesting characters and models for it. Obviously, the FBI and police and that sort of thing in 1920s and 30s great for gangster games as well anyway. But
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't want to see the Peaky Blinders getting their face chewed off them by something
Very
unimaginable and unspeakable living in the attic or in the baffled well at the bottom of the Juju house? Never go to Harlem.
Yeah, exactly.
Never go to Harlem.
Something to know is Spectre are doing a lot of their stuff via digital and physical stuff as well now. So they tend to they do a lot of their sculpting in the digital format, and then it's normally available as STL files and also physically. And they're also making it a lot more available through different stockists as well now. So I know that North Star have started to stock Spectre stuff as well. So if there's multiple ways for you to get your hands on a lot of this stuff, and hopefully that'll be the same when the Mythos supplement comes out as well. I saw a lot of other companies were very excited by what they were doing. I know Crooked Dice were like, ooh, and that sort of thing. So yeah.
Well, I mean, Crooked Dice
because obviously they have a lot of miniatures perfect for it. So
they've just released a ton of Cthulhu, Lovecraftian nightmare stuff. So you can do your Spectre operations.
Step away from 7TV, try something else with their miniatures. Yeah, very good.
It's all about stepping away, trying some other games out. Right. Speaking of other games that people should try out, the multi-award-winning Moonstone. Yes, have you heard of it?
We can never escape.
The
pull of the Moonstone.
Never escape the Mwam.
Yes.
Don't you start doing it as well, John. Jesus.
I like Moonstone, so I'm all in as well.
Yeah. The second/final release of the new fourth faction, the Shades, has hit the web store for pre-order this week. So these were kickstarted last year. First wave's already gone out to retail. So there's only 3 boxes to come. First up is the Echo of the Forgotten King, King Churnet himself, who's a big boy. Interesting character as well for the Shades, apart from being the guy who started it all, kicking off with the resurrection of his old race. He's available in 2 forms for your games. You can either buy him in as a troop member, or he can be summoned. Either way, he is a ticking time bomb. He has no energy, so he burns health to do things, and he's an absolute monster. So he swarms in. Don't think of that as a cloud. Think of that as some sort of tornado. He swarms in, bashes all around him, fizzles out. And then it's whether or not you can resurrect him again is another matter. Some of the other Shades can. They've got the ability to bring him back. Other ones don't. So use him well while you've got him. Absolutely stonking figure. Sort of the ethereal wreaths of smoke floating out of his armor. I've seen this done up in like Scooby-Doo green as well, which looks really effective.
Oh, nice.
Obviously, this one has been done to match the artwork on the box. Accompanying him are 2 other boxes. Nanny is coming with Nanny's little babelings. So what was that? Look for. Sometimes
I've read one of her rules, and
when you're in the
Deadlands, it made me feel a bit sick. So
don't worry about it. When you're in the Deadlands, you've got these delightfully little creepy things that visit the spirits and Shades that are trapped there. And sometimes when they come back to Tauber, they come with. So each one of these little babelings has their own special rule. And they will buff and counter buff Nanny. So to get rid of those, you've got to get past Nanny, but to get to her, you've also got to get past those, and it's all wheels within wheels and machinations. Absolutely cracking figure. Nanny has the proper, do you love me now, mother? Am I not beautiful? Big red lips. Just get the lipstick all over there. Going on as she's feeding a bottle and some sort of squid. As
the rule says, milkies.
Yes. Is based on Nanny from Count Dracula. So if you're wondering how she sounds, I'll get it. You can also paint her like that if you want, but there's a lot of yellow going on. But yeah, a terrific set of sculpts once again, and I love the 3 little babelings that go with
Psychopomps.
The Psychopomp. They are a weird set. And obviously attached to Nanny, but there are other summoners of Psychopomps are available, and other buffs and benefits from having other Psychopomps on the table is always good to see. Then we have some of the humans from Moonreach with the Eternal Servitude. These are a creepy set of fellows. So you've got things like the knight in the middle, backed up by a gravedigger and a ghastly servant. And when these combine on the tabletop, they've got a whole host of fun things they can do. So Victor on this side is capable of doing some sort of resurrection shenanigans, as is, I'm trying to remember his name, Graves. He's a...
I'll find it out for you.
Well, that's very decent of you, son. He's on point for summoning back. Igor. There we go. He's on point for summoning the Echo of the Forgotten King. So King Churnet, he's there to bring him back constantly over and over again. And then the fun dead unicorn that has really seen better days.
With the Viscount,
is being ridden by Viscount Default.
Yep.
And he's surprisingly well armed and armored. He has hidden armor under his delightful coat, which means anybody attempting to take him out will have some grim times ahead. Victor Petty is just such a delightful evil git as a gravedigger. And I'm really interested to see what people are doing with them, especially whenever these hit the sort of the wider reach of people beyond the Kickstarter as well. Because this is something that you can do with Moonstone so well, where you start theming, so you go, well, maybe I don't want a load of shades, maybe I want to lean on the undead physical servants of Churnet, or even the not quite undead. So Victor there and the Viscount and Igor, along with the Dominion box that contains the snake, the Duchess, and I can't remember the last one, are essentially 6 living, but they've been living for centuries now. A lot of them wear masks to hide what's going on behind their face, because they're starting to rot away. So you can do like, here's my undead revenants, and then here's my undead floaty spirity shade things. So, well, you can mix and match to your heart's content, but there's a lot of fun and games to be had.
Lovely.
Not just miniatures, courtesy of Annie. The Moonreach scatter tree has been harvested from Bad Squiddo. So if you're looking to have some interesting, and by interesting I mean horrifying, bits and pieces to throw on your table with your shades, then you can do that. You just need little bits of scatter to disp out in the middle of the board just to break up sort of lines of sight and movement, because it's all about that. And tentacles. Everybody loves tentacles. And there's also a couple of pieces of gameplay accoutrement. So we have the token set, which has got very nice shade-specific energy tokens. So rather than just having little blue discs, they all have the Shades faction symbol on it. And then every shade that exists that has a special rule that remains in play, or buffs or debuffs, these are markers for those. They're all acrylic. But actually the way they're done is they're like a laminate. So it's acrylic, then the printed thing, and then acrylic on top. So they're very thick. They're good chunky pieces, and you can just write on them with your overhead projector pen as well. The little curves mean you can just push it beside the round lip of the base of whoever's
That's a nice design
element. Yeah, it is. I've got a set for every other faction at the moment. There's also a set of,
of course.
There's also a set of 3 50mm round water markers for Sonara, the mermaid who can summon it, and Jeremy, the Splashy Fury, Lord of the Deep Psycho Pump. Beware his Splashy Fury. He paddles around and does damage to people in range of those, so they're handy to have as little 50mm markers as well. Nice to have, don't require them, but if you've got them, why would you not?
Exactly.
So yes, they're all sweet to the beat. And then for people who maybe aren't looking to play the multi-award winning Moonstone, and why not, but might fancy painting some of the miniatures, there's a big bust, and very rarely do they do big things. They've done a big Jada in the past because people demanded, but this is Churnet at 1/24th scale. If people fancy doing a spectacular paint job on the big guy, then this is definitely one to have a look at, because that armor, it's all there on the model at 32mm, So I think they are 32 for Moonstone.
32.
But having this at a much grander scale, you can see things like the little ornate dragonry on his helmet and all the very delicate filigree and the like that he has there. You can really go to town on it and spectralize him up to the nth degree. So yes, cracking stuff.
Lovely
from
stuff once
Goblin
again.
King. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to actually painting some of my stuff at some stage. Or at least,
once you've done Starschlock.
Once I've got my Starschlock out of the way, which will be quick. Lucky for the fray. I'm already, I was going to say I'm halfway there. I'm 25% of the way there regarding priming. So
it's a step.
Yeah,
it's
100% is a step. Right. Yeah. Moving on to take a look at something that would actually work perfectly for the multi-award winning Moonstone. A new range of terrain.
So Kromlech are adding to their Tabletop Scenics range, which is already quite vast with the amount of terrain that they have on offer. But this time we're doing a little bit more fantasy-orientated stuff. And this is Landscapes of the Empire.
Yes.
Which has a very cute styling to it. I love the really sort of chunkiness that it has that they've brought to the table with it.
Yeah.
Some really nice kits in here too. And there is one caveat I want to mention as we go further on, but the style of the buildings, like do we call that a briar? Is that how we pronounce that, Jerry?
Buyer. It's whatever they've chosen to decide as a name for that. So
it's a stable. I love the roofing is what's caught me the most.
Yeah, I like
because
that. Yeah.
You can get your MDF terrain and you can add stuff to it, or you can make your own shingle and stuff like that. And I like the just leaning into the just making it chunkier and more sort of cartoony, which
or robust
as Jerry,
for long-term gaming as well.
Or robust, yeah. And as Jerry alluded to, perfect for the likes of Moonstone and that sort of that more heavy. Sorry, Moam. The more heavy fantasy orientated styling to it.
Yeah.
Obviously the cottage is nice. The peasant's cottage.
A peasant with stone. They've got too much money, that peasant. They need to be taxed heavier.
Yeah.
They're also very good aesthetically for Warhammer.
Yes.
Yeah.
As you'll see later as well.
Chivalry feel to them as well.
Yeah.
Yep. I think what I like most about them is actually the price.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I love the aesthetics. I absolutely adore the price, but they have the style of it. But it's the bundles that they've made up. So you have the lowland village, which has all the smaller buildings. Doesn't have the likes of the windmill and stuff like that in it, but it's got a load of fences and a well and stuff like that. And the price of that is really achievable and probably would do very well for the likes of a small Warcry table.
Yeah, like a skirmish style game, 2 foot by 2 foot or 3 foot by 3 foot, something like that. Yeah.
Burrows and Badgers, Ben.
Oh, Burrows and Badgers. Oh, yes, it'd be lovely for that. Yeah, you can have this as proper royalist territory. It'd be great.
Yeah, there you go. Now, the one caveat I did want to mention is that they aren't pre-painted.
Yeah,
and it's in very small text on the page that it says comes unpainted, so you have to bear that in mind when you're getting it. Which is kind of a shame. I think they should make that a bit more prominent, saying this is not unpainted, or show us a picture of the stuff built but with no paint on it, maybe, just to let us know what we're getting into, and we're not opening a box expecting something that we don't. Have. So
Oh, that's interesting. That's a very curve.
And that bridge can be larger as well. You can buy each of the segments individually, so you can make much larger bridges.
Oh, you can have that multiple arches.
Yep.
That's cute. I'm assuming that they've gone with, because I know they use MDF, HDF, and card. So presumably that curve is made by just putting the card, the thinnest part, recessed into it. So you get a nice up and down. I'm curious now. I may have to get one of those.
All the build instructions are on their website, so you can always go and have a look and see how they've crafted, how they've made it. You see, so
how they've crafted it.
Because that's how I worked out that these were MDF. Because I'd looked on their thing, and I automatically thought we were maybe getting sort of like a mix of MDF and resin stuff potentially, but then I had a look and actually it was all just broken down into MDF segments. But I mean, Kromlech have been doing this stuff for a really long time. So
we did a whole table
for
Frostgrave. Using
Frostgrave,
well, they are actually the Frostgrave range for
the official
line.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of fun with that. So my lovely 3-tone color, much better than the Frostgrave ones that are painted grey. Hides on the tabletop. Your building's red. I really like that as well. I like the asymmetric chunkiness of the brickwork. So it's not just here is 2 courses of perfectly dressed stone at the bottom of every building. You can see it there. It creeps up the wall like a creepy thing. And on the tower, the windmill, the fact that you've got some brickery almost to the top of that window and then just sort of gently dangles down.
It's a nice touch.
Yeah, because it's something you don't see often. It's something that makes no sense in reality. You would either dress your stone and then build onto a square structure, but for the whimsical fantasy game like the multi-award winning Moonstone, or your Birds and Badgers, or your Warhammer, the
Guards of Traitor's Toll as well.
Guards of Traitor's Toll, something where it doesn't need to be historically accurate or realistic. At that point, you can just let the fantastical go in and just run with that, which is always cracking.
I mean, it just looks like an old tower that someone thought, well, I don't have the stonework to fix it, but I can just build something on it.
Yeah. I found a crumbling watchtower. It's now my house come windmill.
Yeah.
Smash bosh. Again.
Tells the story for you. Yeah.
The windmill's quite nice as well. I'm positive that must be thin card layers that they've added in places.
Yeah. What I quite liked was their answer to doors, because what they've done is the way that the layers are split. If you look at the windmill, just above the door arch, you'll see there's like a slight line where the top layer of the building sets in.
Yeah.
So each of the floors is modular, and then the doors pull out like just a sheet, effectively. So you don't have to open the door and worry about hinges or anything. You just lift the door out to open it up, and then you've opened that portal and stuff. So
push it back.
So it's just a little sheet that sits in. Yeah, it's cool.
It's keeping with the longevity aspect as well, because
how
many doors do we have in here on some of the other MDF kits that we have where the doors have just stopped working or don't exist anymore?
No WD-40 will save those.
I picked up a tower the other day, and half of the tower came away with my hand. It's like, got a tower? No, I don't have a tower. It's sadly gone now. They're absolutely cracking. So great for 28 and 32 mil stuff.
Yep.
Interesting to see where they go with that. I imagine it will not be the only releases in that line.
God, no.
Because it is, after all, Kromlech. And they'll be bringing more fun and games to people's tabletops not too distant, at which point they may start adding in some of the resin stuff that we've seen. They do it lovingly, but seldom. So I suppose it increases the price a bit anyway. So where you have a bell tower, making the bell out of resin works for that, and then keep the rest of the kit MDF. So maybe they'll go the same sort of way.
Yeah.
Fancy smancy. Sticking with fantasy, John, Warp up to a bunch of mousy fun.
Yes. Another a model range that can go with the terrain we just looked at.
Yeah.
It could also, in theory, if you really stretch your imagination, be 1-to-1 scale.
True. Yeah,
true.
So Warp Miniatures celebrating their Gnomevember.
Definitely a thing now.
Yeah. So we've got October and Gnomevember now. Thanks very much. What got me about this was just the name, the Mousehold Cavalry.
Yes.
As soon as I seen that in the running order, I was like, I'm going to like this no matter what it is. So this is a range of 32 mil / 1-to-1 scale mouse cavalry with gnome, gnomes, and I mean, I can't say much about this at all. Because I haven't read the news article much. I was looking at the pictures. I was like, the pictures distracted me from this one because they're so good. So range of 32mm models that are 3D prints, so you're going to be getting STL files for that.
Yep.
They do come pre-supported as well, which is the important part to note, especially if you're new to 3D printing or you're just not that interested in fidgeting around in the 3D software.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
Pre-support's the way to go every time. Yeah. They have quite a range of these as well, and they are adorable as much as they are I'm scared for my ankles.
Yes.
Well, this is the second or third wave of them now.
This is the third wave of them they've done, or maybe third wave, because everything that Alex has done for this has been designed so that it can mimic a goblin army.
Yes.
So these are your wolf riders, but obviously you have the Mousehold cavalry, and so you've got them with bows and spears. You also have
Skarsnik
a pet squig.
Gobbler.
Yeah, you have the Skarsnik the gnome, but with a pet hedgehog, which is amazing. And they've also done the bolt throwers, the ballistas as well, which is a great little addition.
That hedgehog's not right.
No, to be fair. Gobbler's not right either, so at least it's part of the course.
I love that all the shields are just mushrooms.
Yep, red cap mushrooms.
Out.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's horrendous.
It is absolutely quite. I mean, I have a goblin army because I really like goblins, and I like not having any orcs in my goblin army because it was hilarious. And this is hilariouser, which I'm positive is a word.
Definitely a word.
Yeah.
Because have you ever seen such a happy mouse?
Yeah.
Imagine a regiment of 20 of those bounding across the table at your opponent with socks and shirts and bed sheets and knickers and all sorts of stuff on their spears as pennants. They're just happy go fun times mice. And then they hit your opponent and then they all die because while Goblin Army was fun to play, they were absolute hot garbage.
Yes.
What you could do is run them in Kings of War though. At which point they become less hot garbage, and then you give one of them explosive glances, and as they get across the table and then explode all over the place.
Didn't one of our community members do the original gnomes as Kings of War last year? Jill, yes, did them. Yeah, very good.
Yep.
Hopefully, you end up picking up these as well. I'd love to see what you do with that. That'd be cool. But,
I imagine probably already
ordered. Yeah.
Working way through the thing. But the gnome Mousehold Cavalry.
It's amazing. As John said, though, they also if you don't want to 3D print them, you can get physical prints of all of this.
Yes.
The thing is that while a lot of these kits are multi-pose based on the Patreon, so obviously you get a kit that you can build. The ones that they do through Oni Games are done as monopose sets, so you just get them as full figures effectively as you'd see them on the images. But I mean, that's not an issue really. I mean, they're all characterful and lovely enough anyway, so definitely worth checking those.
Oh yeah, especially if you fancy
I could give up multi-pose for just having the set that's there on the main image because that just looks great.
It does. Yeah,
good times are had by all. By the way, the mice will do more damage than the gnomes on their backs. That is just standard practice. Just like in Wamster, the goblins did no damage. All your damage came from the wolves. They're really just a wolf delivery system. Somebody distributed towards where you needed them. Right. Enough of that. And let's take things into a more historically accurate way, for example, with the SAGA Age of Chivalry pre-order coming up out of nowhere, like nobody was expecting. All of a sudden, the French arrived. We were all waiting for samurai. Some of us were waiting for more ancients. Then Studio Tomahawk went, but no, monsieur, Age of Chivalry. I assume that's how they talk.
Just like that, yes.
Just like that. So this tiny book is due to run from late to 1453, and it will cover a multitude of forces throughout the 100 Years' War. So you've got the English, the French, the Burgundians, and all the other minor nations that got pulled
Allied
in.
Nations,
minor that got pulled in there, whether they wanted to or not. Like all the Saga books, it will come with the full set of battle boards. A couple of things they've changed this time round. There is only one type of dice.
Yep.
Although you can get it in two colors.
Blue and red. Yeah.
But
English and French.
Instead of having 15 different types of specific dice for it, they went, you know what, they're so similar, we're just going to run with those as is, which is a good way of doing it, I think. You don't need to reinvent the wheel several times, although I did see somebody going, why did we not get the fleur-de-lis as the rare symbol on the blue dice? Because they kept the symbols the same. It's just like, nobody cares, mate.
That
just
would
use
have
a
been a
D6.
nice touch, I suppose.
Just go ahead, fill it in, carve your own fleur-de-lis into them yourself. Go nuts.
True.
We won't stop you. But as you can see, the layout is the same as previous books. Actually, it's not. The layout is similar to previous books. You will get your faction/nation list where it will tell you what is available. So things like the faction rules, your warlord can be mounted, your hearthguards can be mounted, warriors can be mounted, blah, 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 blah. And then underneath the stat line for them. What is missing from this part of the book are all the named historical people. So in previous games, it would say, you can take Alexander the Great in place of a Macedonian commander. You can take, in this case, the Black Prince is probably a go-to for the English list. What they've done is take all of those and put them at the back of the book so as not to confuse new players. So they are an option.
That's a bit like first edition Saga then.
Yes. They are an option if you so desire. They're not baked into the core of the game itself, but it gives you everything you need to know about the nation. So if you are aware of the conflict in question, you may know what's going on, who's where and where they are. If you're not, if this is going to be your first dip into the 100 Years' War via Saga, then you get a little potted history over 2 or 3 pages, and then those very simple lists, and then it will explain some possibly unique rules to them if they have anything, or the battle boards. It's not quite an FAQ, but there'll be certain specific abilities on the battle boards that are used to activate your units or to do things, and you'll get a little page where it goes, these ones are the key ones, and here's how this sort of works, and here's what you might want to pair it with on your board. So it sort of takes you step by step. Ass end of the book contains, like I say, the named historical people, but it also contains some mercenaries that you can throw in as well, and also options. So if you want to run the War of the Roses, there are options that you can pull out a couple of the battle boards and then use specific lists with specific battle boards to give you the Lancastrians and Yorkists as well. So same sort of period, but they were kind of looking at it from the point of view where everybody is more or less equipped the same. Everybody more or less fights the same. So
that was pretty much the case.
Yeah. So there wasn't too much in reinventing the wheel. They just wanted to kind of get it out there and not mess around too much. But it does mean there's ideal opportunity now for people to start buying medieval figures that I'm not going to do. So
this is exactly why I gave you the story.
Yeah, I 100% knew it was. 100% knew it was. So obviously Gripping Beast have an extensive range that they've done for a long time now. Weirdly, that Warlord came up as a question recently. Somebody was looking to find it's in one of James Morris's
Oh, right. Okay.
Warhammer Ancient Battles books.
Ah.
And somebody's but painted differently, going, who made this model? Where's it from? Is it conversion? Can I get it? Yeah, that was a weird little synergy. Anyway, obviously Gripping Beast do a ton of stuff. You'll need a variety of weaponry and the like, including things like the big palace shields, which is mostly used for spearmen in this. I think there might be a mercenary crossbow unit that has them, but otherwise slow-moving, well-armored people coming up towards you. And then there's the Perries for plastics. If people want to get dirt cheap starter factions, I would suggest you and a friend buy a box each.
Yes. Yeah.
And then just split.
Yeah.
So somebody takes half the sprues of the armor and half the sprues of the peasantry, because they do both foot knights, mounted knights, and peasantry types. if you want to, you can go with the specific French and British. But to be brutally honest, even with the footlights, it's not, the difference in armor is minor, especially if you're going to be starting to paint up your own stuff anyway. So obviously they have metals to boot as well. And I would also say check out Claymore Castings and Antediluvian Miniatures, particularly nice for Scots players, if you want to get in that way.
Yes.
Not buying those either. I hate you so much, Ben. Why can I not keep my money?
We didn't get you with Baron's War, so
no.
You never know.
See, that's because I'm strong-willed, as anybody who's ever seen me
definitely strong
through these things knows. I look at things like this and I've got so much willpower. I just go, that's all fine. We'll just move on with our lives. I won't
models
back
off
all
ducks
of these.
back.
Yep.
So
anyway, pre-orders up in English via the medium of North Star, gripping based, and French obviously via Studio Tomahawks. People over there.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, happy days for all concerned. Not for me though. I'm still painting up my other stuff. Shop.
It's all. The more we talk about it, the more Lloyd is going to end up buying into it anyway. So
that's true.
So you're still never going to see it though.
No, that's true.
He'll have it.
Sometimes he does bring models out and then show them off. I go, if only I could work out which shield to put on these.
I painted one Drabant Viking. Well done, Lloyd.
harsh but harsh. Right. Take me away from medieval times. Distract me with something science fiction-y.
Yeah, so Infinity's December pre-orders have popped up. We obviously knew that we're going to be doing essential stuff when it comes around to December, but we're also getting the Beyond Operation Sandtrap set coming out in December as well. Talked about this in a video during the end of Infinity M5 week, but this is going to be essentially your next step once you've played through Operation Sandtrap and you want to take it a little step further. If you want to watch Carson, Killian and Jerry talking about this and Killian getting very excited, you can check out the video in the link down below as well. But this will come with a couple of, 3 new miniatures for each of the factions. So the JSA and Pano. Boo, Pano. So for Pano, you're going to get the Blink, the Wild Parrot, the Firefly Paramedic, and with the Het. The Blink, Wild Parrot, and the Firefly Paramedic. And on the other side of things, you've got the Taishin Hacker. Jesus Christ. The Kuriyami Hacker.
You could have given this to me, John.
I could have done, but I went for it
you had
anyway.
to torment me. No. And this is what God does on people who torment me with medieval.
God damn it. But yes, that's the Beyond Operation Sandtrap set that'll allow you to sort of take that next step with the game if you want to dive in a little bit deeper. Nice selection of new models there. Go and find out a little bit more about them. Check out their stats and everything in the video that we've got down below as well. In addition to that, if you want to go hunting Pokemon in the world of Infinity, then you have a new miniature for you to check up. Not necessarily Pokemon, but Mega Beasts. So this is the Beast Hunter Free Guild that can be used as a mercenary addition to your Infinity collection. Used with a variety of different factions. Obviously, they've gone down the route of just let's make this as anime as possible.
Yes.
Proper cool, kind of like Kitsune style mask, massive Daikatana on the back, epic throwing arm for that not Pokeball.
Yes.
For catching Mega Beasts. So a very, very cool, almost Monster Hunter-esque style character as well, which I thought was a really nice touch.
Suspiciously similarly coloured.
Yes.
All there in the hand.
Yeah.
I recognize that red and white.
I wonder what that's for. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely gorgeous miniature. As you'd expect from the folks at Corvus Belli. Painted it wonderfully as well by Ankel. We'll be coming out soon. Hopefully we'll see more of these Mega Beast Hunters. I think that'll be a really fun little addition to the line to maybe come up with a couple of additional sort of mercenaries for them to play around with. Especially if they kind of, I know they've kind of made the nod to Pokemon there, but imagine if they did like a Ash version and stuff. I think it'd be quite cool. But Ash, Misty and Brock.
He would be US Ariadne.
Yes. Yeah.
If Ash was in this, he'd be US Ariadne.
Going, here is my boomstick.
Yeah, carrying an M16 and a Pokeball with his cap backwards, like
But what I quite like about this is that if you've maybe picked up some of the Mega Beast miniatures from the Tag Raid, you could set them up in like the background and have like a cool Infinity Monster Hunter fight with these versus those. I think that'd be really nice to play out. But yeah, very cool stuff there. Talking of Ariadne, but in a slightly different view, we also have the Kyber Volk Patrol for Ariadne, who are going to be hunting down any alien interlopers who have made their way into the human sphere. So, as we know,
there's one right there. Or is that just an abhuman? Like, what?
Abhuman is different. Yes, yeah. So this wonderful pack are available to drop into Ariadne forces, and in the kind of lore, a lot of the time, combined agents are able to work their way into the human sphere and bypass all the security systems. But these folks are there to sniff them out. And those angry little remotes are probably quite handy in doing so as well.
I want the remotes so that I can just replace those little eyes with the tiniest googly eyes.
Oh, yes. That'd be good.
We've all been saying that. It's googly eyes all the way down for them.
Googly eyes, yeah.
I think they just drive forward and drop bombs at people's feet.
Yes, yeah. Which is a good way of destroying aliens. Yeah.
Now stand still until I get away and it blows up.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, really nice little set there for Ariadne, not being left out of things. And then we have, talking of remotes, we have a new addition. This is the expansion pack beta for those people running O12 on the tabletop. So we got a look at a whole bunch of the new stuff for the Torchlight Brigade, which is kind of like the galactic police, effectively, of Infinity, where they sort of go around to different pockets of humanity on different remote worlds, and they pop up and sort of save them from terrible threats that are affecting them. And alongside that, we now have a whole bunch of remotes for them to take with them and using their fight against the alien.
But could you imagine being on a planet in the Infinity Universe and you're just working away and doing absolutely nothing with your life, and all of a sudden this blue gold guy just turns up and is just like, stop search, please.
I'm here to save you.
Random stop search. Have you been drinking today, sir? It's like,
and then a remote unfolds behind him. Yeah.
And it's the breathalyzer.
Yeah.
It would cut down on littering as well.
That's very true. Obviously, really nice vibe to, remotes in general, is to kind of go down that Ghost in the Shell look. So if you wanted to play around with these and paint them up in different colors and stuff to kind of match that, that'd be a really nice way to go. But yeah, really nice little set there.
I need more mechs in Infinity, funnily enough. Imagine me saying I need more mechs in something.
What? Shocking.
Shocking.
I love the chunky tires.
Yeah,
it's something we don't see a huge amount of.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm thinking it's mostly tracks or legs up until now.
It is mostly legs.
Yeah. But those, they have a very different feel.
They do.
They've really been big fans of Curiosity.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. It's all, even down to the red dirt and the treads there, it's all gone Mars Lander here.
Yeah.
In many ways, they're very much upgunned Rem racers from their little kids game that they made.
Yes.
So yeah. And then last but not least, there's also another action pack for Aleph. So this one's based around the Steel Phalanx. So the action packs are just a good way for you to pick up a whole bunch of miniatures for you to effectively just get started with a faction in many ways. So if you wanted to get this one, it comes with a whole host of really cool Aleph characters and troops. You get the Myrmidons, as you can see at the back there, with that kind of really badass Greek-style helmets and shields and stuff, which is a nice little touch to have them in battle alongside the likes of Achilles and things on the tabletop. But yeah, really nice little set there for people who want to maybe get started with Aleph if they've maybe dived into Operation Sandtrap, or they play the Essentials set in a couple of months or whatever, and then they want to take the next step and try a different faction, maybe pick up an action pack and have a go with Aleph. So yes, very good.
Cracking. Now, we have one final bit of news, and we're going to be drifting away from miniatures, and instead jumping into RPGs en masse where no miniatures are needed.
Yeah. Exactly. So this one's quite fun. It's coming out next year. One of the reasons we talk about it is that the mind behind it is Emmett Byrne, who has worked on Soulbound and Broken Weave. We've talked to him a lot in the past when he was working with Cubicle 7. But he has sort of decided to dive into a new role-playing game, which is called Beyond the Woods, as part of Old Oak Games. And the real thrust behind this is that it's all inspired by Irish myth, folklore, and legend. but it's all sort of tied into this idea of dark fantasy on the tabletop, which I think is really nice as well. The other key thing is that they didn't want this to be just a veneer of lovely Irish folklore kind of thing. This is like exactly. This is a proper deep dive into that and everything that Emmett loves about Irish folklore and everything like that. So you'll be diving into the world of Tir na Scath. I think I've probably said that right. And you play as characters like the Pucker, the how would I say this? AOC? AOC?
Aoshi.
Aishi? I should let you guys do this.
Don't ask me.
The Changelings or the Balaran. And then you'll be playing as new classes like the Channeler, the oh my god, the Droy.
That's enough.
The Hunter, the Mage, the Warrior, and the Storyteller, again, sort of based off the idea of the oral storytelling traditions of Ireland and that kind of thing as well. And the basis of this is that you play as these characters, and you'll be using the 5th edition rule set as the kind of the keystone of this. But it's been twisted so that it's not a classic adventure that you'd expect. It's all done with the idea of being a hex crawl style thing. So it's the proper big maps that you would expect from sort of like West Marches campaigns and stuff like that in the past. And you'll be going from hex to hex, going into different encounters, playing out different adventures, and then using stickers and things to mark your how things have gone over the course of your adventures and sort of tracking your journal, as it were, and your campaign across that. And then obviously you'll be working to try and take out all sorts of strange fey creatures and everything that are getting in your way. Don't shoot the stag. Probably not a good idea to shoot the stag. Never
Don't
shoot the
touch
stag.
any of it.
No.
Never shoot anything. Don't go near us. Give wide burst.
And you'll be going from place to place trying to save the land from all the terrible creatures and things that are lying there trying to bring darkness to the world. They've also tried to tie in lots of fun things that Emmett has worked on in the past with other games. So there's going to be survival style mechanics, a little bit like Resident Evil and stuff. So you'll have to manage your resources. I hope you don't have like a little grid with the stuff that you can hold, and you have to kind of sit there and work out where all the herbs can go and all the weapons, but we'll see. There's also going to be full exploration rules. And obviously I mentioned the big map as well. And obviously lots of encounter tables and everything like that too. It's all going to come as part of 2 books, although things might change as they get closer to their campaign next year. So you're going to have the big core book that's coming out for this, which will teach you how to make all the different characters that I pronounced badly earlier. And then also a settings guide, which will probably teach you how to say all those words. And explore a little bit more of the world itself. But,
it's easy enough. Irish is a shallow language. So things don't... In that, the pronunciation, you know, the way you've got like Loughborough, where you've got the same luff and cuff and cough and thorough and burra and through. Yeah. Same letters pronounced a million different ways in English. None of that. Yeah. There's one way to pronounce the letter in Irish. And then there's Shivu that change it. And beyond that, you're fine. I'm trying to read what that says now.
In Ogham.
In Ogham.
Yeah.
don't mind me.
Maybe you can work it out in the comments down below. But
there's a few different alphabets depending on which one is used though.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But looks really cool, and I like that they're approaching it from the viewpoint of we want to try and tell like a true representation of like myth and folklore from Ireland and stuff, and from all the artwork we've seen so far, just gorgeous.
It's something I've been banging on about for a while now. Why do we constantly see Greeks all the time, or a million Viking fantasy things? But we've got a ton of stuff right here on our own doorstep, and we don't see a huge amount of it. Oh, they're not good. Oh, stay away from them.
No,
they're nice.
They're the big bads.
They are essentially undead. They are complete scum. That's nice though. I like it. I like
also,
where he's going.
If you are interested in miniatures, I mean, just maybe even as representations on the map, then there's a really nice range of stuff in the Jim Fitzpatrick style over on Lucid Eye. They do a wonderful section of kind of really key characters from Irish myth and folklore and stuff.
Yeah, Eru herself. I've got them. So, they're big. They're like 40 mil type thing.
I think I have Nuada. He's a chunky boy.
Yeah, they're cracking. Yeah. I should have those anyway. Get those anyway. Don't use them in your game, but get those anyway.
But keep an eye out for that next year. Yeah. Hopefully, we'll maybe get a chat with Emmett before the campaign or something.
I think that's probably nailed on. He is, after all, within arm's reach, metaphorically speaking.
Like down the road.
Yeah. If I can talk to people in Australia and America, I can certainly talk to somebody in the same country or down south in Mexico way. Right. Enough of that. It's time to take a look at TerrainFest via the medium of Warren, who I live vicariously through.
Okay, everybody, myself and Warren are back for another installment of our Tale of Two Tables. Let's just settle on it.
Tale of Two Tables.
Always has to do the movie voice. Right, so this time we've went away from the crown and we're across in the far and mysterious east.
The far and mysterious east. Yeah, so to catch you up, it is TerrainFest. Get involved. Good prize to be won there. And it's a lot of fun. We are building two tables. So, well, Justin's building a table based loosely on London and the River Thames.
Yes. The dark and gritty industrial section of the world where it's just life is cheap. You're nothing but a cog in the machine. Warren, you're across elsewhere doing?
Well, I went to the Far East. I thought to myself, if I was going to make a counterpart to that, it would be a crown invasion of the Far East.
Do you want to trade with us?
So, yeah, that kind of thing. And it's funny you should say that because I couldn't get it out of my mind was the series Shogun, okay? I don't know, I'll be honest, I don't know an awful lot about the Far East. It's not a theater of war that has ever particularly grabbed me, but I loved that show. And it was very difficult for me to think about any of this without the imagery of the latest Shogun series coming to mind.
Well, there's one I watched recently which actually illustrates it really well. Nemo. So it's Captain Nemo and his crew against the East India Trading Company. And that company that has twice the soldiers of the British Army, you know, that big reach, that big imperialistic influence coming in.
Well, the imagery of Shogun comes to mind, especially where the big ship is kind of wrecked or is left, you know. So I thought to myself, right, time to set myself some constraints, okay?
Okay.
I wanted to reuse some stuff that I had built before. So this foam mat I constructed, I think it was during the last TerrainFest.
Yeah, this was your Acre base.
Yeah, so this was for the city of Acre, which was fought over in the Crusades. So it was a port city. So whenever I decided I was going to do kind of like a coastally kind of village thing, I thought to myself, well, this is actually a good opportunity to reuse that Acre mat as a base. So that'll save me some time straight off the bat.
Well, again, this is something you talked about whenever you were initially doing it. You didn't want to theme anything too hard that was built into the table, so it could be refactored for other periods.
Yes, and like any of us with a collection of terrain and stuff at home, you want it storable, but also where possible, you want to be able to reuse it for different scenarios, settings, and theaters. So I thought I will use that. So I pulled it out and then I've put it together. Is it a constraint? The other rule that I set myself was I was going to 3D print for this one.
Yeah.
Rather than footer around with a load of plastic kits. Okay.
Again, it's two different skill sets to build two different styles of table. You can do the kits, do your like kit bashing, or you can do something that's full custom.
Well, going with the 3D printing is, so any of you folk at home that either do 3D printing or are curious about it, it's useful for me at this stage of my life because I am time poor. My evenings spent running around delivering kids to various locations and the like. So it's very helpful for me to have projects that are printing out overnight.
So automated hobby.
Yes. So I went hunting. I thought to myself, well, first port of call, let's see, because there's some wonderful terrain guys and STL 3D print guys out there. We cover them every week. But I went and I found one. Now, these guys I found on my mini factory, and they're called Sacrus Mundus. So the company,
double check that.
Yeah, Sacrus Mundus, and this particular set is the Lontan Commercial District, I think it's called, or Commercial Haven. So it's an Eastern themed
sci-fi kind of terrain set. Okay.
Well, again, the challenge with this style of terrain for the culture is blending that high sci-fi-ness in with some of the more traditional aspects of their architecture.
Yes, well, it's important that people realize, the dystopian age is not. It's not steampunk in the traditional sense. It's in many ways, it's closer to sci-fi than it is to steampunk. So it gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of your style and your approach. Now, this stuff is 28 mil.
Really?
Yes.
So you've scaled down?
But I've scaled down, and that's one of the beauties of these smaller scales. Again, is if you are doing 3D printing or whatever, if you can get stuff that scales down, you can print so much more of it so much quicker.
The other thing is, once you have the file, let's say you go, oh, I'd love one more of these big towers would be nice. You just go and print another one. You don't have to go and buy another one.
That's exactly it. So I've laid out a few print beds of this. You can maybe see it printing with the stop motion or the time lapse. You can see some of this stuff coming together. And I've laid out a few beds of it, and I try to make the beds logical, that if I do need another set of something, I'm just printing that one bed. I don't have to jump between a number of different beds to do it.
Like with like for parts?
Yes, that kind of thing. So after I've spent about a week or so just printing bits and bobs out, no particular plan. I thought to myself, it's best just to print some stuff out first, get a good range of the items, and then just drop it on the table and start to see what it might look like.
Right. Important question for anyone, because I'm sure there's someone in the comments furiously typing right now.
Yeah.
FDM or resin bath or a combo?
All of this is FDM.
Oh. Okay. Hang on. Take this. I have to do a comparison because there's something we did years ago.
Yes. FDM has come on many leaps and bounds.
So some folks will remember these.
Yeah.
These were from whenever we did a Flames of War weekend, I believe it was.
Yes.
We did like some nice Parisian stuff. And a like-for-like size building, that's night and day for quality.
Yeah, there is quite a difference now. The 3D printer that I use for this is a Bamboo Labs 3D printer. And you'll love this, Justin. Not only is the quality better, it's about 4 times faster.
Wait. My biggest bugbear has always been bed leveling. How's the bed leveling?
It's automatic. It does.
Can I get one for it here, please?
It does it completely automatically. So there's
give
no
now.
bed
Give now. Do
involved.
want?
So, it's if you are in the market for a printer, I would highly recommend. If you're looking in the budget end, having a look at the A1 combo. From Bamboo Labs. It's completely automatic. It's missing some of the more advanced LiDAR AI kind of stuff that the top range has, but a bulk of this stuff was printed on the A1 combo, and it needs a wee bit of maintenance now again, but it is a tool. In other words, yes, you still need to know how your 3D printer works so as you can maintain it. It is a machine at the end of the day. So
yeah, but to take out that super finickiness of trying to get a bed to start and it constantly failing.
The most finicky thing is tightening components every now and again. So every few weeks you should go around and tighten components. It involves taking apart things like a print head and whatnot. But if you take your time and put it back together again, nice and tight, you'll be fine. But in terms of once it's all tightened up and going, it's a tool. It's not a hobby. It just works. I set it to do what it does.
I am extremely impressed.
If you're doing this at home, I scaled down these buildings to about 45%, between 40 to 50%. Most of them are around the 45 mark, except for one that I wanted to scale up a little bit. It's still not 28 mil, but I wanted to make this one a little bit bigger because it's going to be maybe a centerpiece of this whole thing.
So it's a little bit bigger, a little more grand?
Yes, yeah. So, and later on, you just pick up bits from your bits box at the smaller scales, and you can stick them onto these things, and that helps tie in the scale and the theme of it all.
Okay, so we know where all your buildings have came from. There's one I want to ask about because it's one of my favorite components. The little landing craft. Where did you find those?
Right. Well, there's a story to this, right? So let me talk about why this is here. So obviously, if you're doing kind of like a coastal thing, you're looking at a Normandy style invasion.
Yeah.
Okay. Now later on, you can do inland battles and the likes, but I couldn't get that fishing village town coastal prison kind of thing out of my head, right? So I thought to myself, look, I can't get it out of my head, so I'm going to run with it. Now obviously that leaves a little bit of a thing of, well, where do your crown deploy from?
Yeah.
Okay. So I took some of the wee crown tanks, and I was thinking to myself, right, if they were going to create landing craft, I would imagine they'll not be vastly different to the landing craft that you would have seen maybe during the Second World War.
Yeah, so where's Tom Hanks?
Yeah, so I found a very, very basic landing craft model on Thingiverse.
Awesome.
Okay. And then what I did was I got some vectored filigree. These kind of ornate kind of pieces, because the crown stuff is all very
fancified,
very ornate. So I went on to the Crown Dystopian Wars, had a look at some of the ships, had a look at just the kind of the filigree and stuff that they did, and I went and I got these as vector files, and then imported them into Tinkercad, extruded them to make them 3D, and then I basically retextured this whole thing, added components to it, added the filigree to it, added this welded metal plates, added the tracking systems to it. So just went in and added a bunch to it to make crown themed landing craft.
Okay,
they're terrain pieces. They're not.
Yeah, they will have no rules.
Yes, they will have no rules other than the fact that you deploy off them. So they might have a deployment rule just to make it a bit easier to deploy off them, so that you can deploy more off them more quickly, or whatever. But,
or you could have it that each one has a capacity, so certain loadout on each one could be fun.
So I did your vehicle-y kind of ones. If you imagine, those would have come forward and your vehicles would come off it, and then this is more of kind of your troops. So I had that Deathcore Krieg kind of thing in mind, where I was going to get all my wee troops, all my wee crown troops all lined up and all rushing off to go on and do an invasion from it. So again, it was fun. I enjoy the Tinkercad stuff. I must admit, the more I do the 3D printing, the more I enjoy creating and modifying stuff to 3D print. And once again, FDM printed. So
trust me, it's impressing me.
Just rattled out on the FDM printer. Now, look, I'm no 3D modeler, I'm no miniature designer, so I'm not going to stand here and praise these things. But from the perspective of my needs as terrain pieces to give me somewhere to launch an attack from, I think they do just fine.
Right. And Tinkercad, that's the free one, isn't it?
Yes, Tinkercad is entirely free, entirely basic. At some point, I will have to move off Tinkercad because I run into its limitations a lot, which means that you're always kind of thinking in weird workaroundy ways. Whereas if I took the time to actually learn plasticity or something,
that sounds very much us. If it don't work, bootstrap it.
Yeah, we just work around it. So this is what I'm thinking so far. So you have your invasion point, okay? I really like the towers. I made the towers one level bigger.
Yeah. They
were 3-level towers. I just said, 3 level? I laugh in the face of your 3 level. I'm going to make these 4 level. So far I kind of like this, but I like tables to have a shape vertically as well. So
is this that thing with the perfect picture with the spiral but on a table?
It's a little bit of that, what do you call that, the perfect, the golden ratio. So there's maybe a little bit of golden ratio aspect to this, but what I might do is create a raised platform or a raised area here just to bring this up a bit. But I'll be honest, I'm not planning on printing an awful lot more terrain for this because I think what I have maybe a little bit more spread out might just work fine as it is, So I'm going to take some pictures of it, some photographs. That's what I tend to do. I tend to do dry fits regularly during my terrain builds. So I'm at a stage of a dry fit. I'll take a bunch of photographs of it, and then I will sit with a cup of tea and look at those photographs and think, right, I need to adjust this bit or do that bit or do whatever.
Okay.
Like one of the things I'm thinking of, having seen your table, I thought to myself, I might actually create a proper little dock here.
So would this sit down like over the top of what's already there?
I'm thinking that could work quite well. A dock that just
that's just a little
there,
bit more stretching.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of in Normandy, that big long dock that went out that the guys. It was during. Oh,
it was the landings at Normandy. They actually brought docks with them.
No, this was Dunkirk.
Okay.
This was the escape.
Oh.
And there was a big, massive, long pier.
Oh, the mole.
Yes. I think that's what it's called.
No, I remember it because I remember watching Dunkirk.
Yeah, so that big, long pier slash dock, maybe something like that would be kind of cool.
Maybe.
And then put some assets out here.
Important thing. So you're going to design this dystopian age style, yeah?
Well, the dystopian age, it's a full planet, so there is no style.
Well, no.
Do you know, there's
our real world style is what I mean. Because dystopian age style is within the fantasy world, so scaling won't matter.
Yeah. I'm going to make it cool.
Rule of cool, okay.
It's just a rule of cool, It's like, but I'm not like, I don't feel any pressure to match a particular style or theme. The beauty of this particular game, and the same with most of the kind of the sci-fi kind of games, is you're dealing with the worlds that are so big that. Anything pretty much goes.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
History is stranger than fiction moment.
So on this, where am I going to go? Going to take some photographs, going to sit with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and I'm just going to mull it over for a while. So you basically came here to watch a video where I told you I was just going to sit down and think. But that's part and parcel of it. I am going to sit down and think. There are some aspects to it that I want to look at. I want to look at a few more kind of objective-y kind of areas. I want to look at the narrative of the board, something similar to what you're doing on your board. Do you know the way you have the districts and that starts to lock down your narrative? I'm going to have a look at this just to see if I can lock a narrative of the board, because it makes it easier when you and a player are playing over it, because you can talk about a district or you can talk about an area.
Yeah, or if you're having that water cooler moment later, I got you so badly in the Docklands.
That's the kind of
thing. All right,
a
couple of elements I think you might be missing a trick on.
Yep.
So on my table, you have the historical section where you've got the castle. If there was maybe an element or two that's a little more historical, so like maybe a big traditional Tory gate, maybe like a little fishing village on the edge.
Yeah.
Something possible to look at.
Yeah, I'm thinking possibly that in the center of this, maybe changing this to an ancient palace.
So like one of the traditional Japanese castles, you see?
Yes. Yeah, so something a more traditional castle, but I might turn it into a like a prison kind of a thing. So they're actually on a rescue mission. So this invasion is about breaking into the prison and releasing a bunch of POWs or something like that.
Could be. You could also do it as a city defense. So if you have it, the crown is coming in here to invade the city, but from the other side of the table, your reinforcements are coming in to try and take up position.
You could have reinforcements. The other thing I want to do is maybe some traditional fishing village type stuff, just smattered around at the shoreline.
Now, for the scale of this game, those are going to be very, very small. So you maybe want to do them as more of a map-style objective token piece. It's just a single set-down piece rather than individual buildings.
No, what I was thinking of doing was little blocks.
I think we're saying the same thing two different ways.
Well, yeah, okay. I agree with Justin. So
Again, he's going to do it his way. Anyway.
I'm going to put some buildings together with the wee gardens and things like that. There's a wee set on piece.
Yes.
That is a block. So it's a village and maybe be made up of 4 of these blocks that'll go together. But
and that way.
But I still want to leave space for troops and stuff to be able to get through. So I've got to play test a lot of this.
Again, that could be nice for your objectives, because if you have a little fishing village down here, a little farming village up further out there, things like that.
Yep. Paddy fields.
Mm-hmm.
That's a definite option
if you can find it or design it.
Yeah. But look, there's where I'm at so far. I will keep burying on with this, and you keep bashing on with yours.
Oh, I've got the blades out,
and we will see how we get on by the end of TerrainFest.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see you later.
All right, then. Hope you enjoyed that. We certainly did. Now, it's time to wrap up the show, and we're going to do it with some Kickstarters. A triptych of this time round.
Yes.
Are we? Where we start?
So we're going to be starting with a game that we talked about a little bit last week. So Warlord Games are now live on Kickstarter with their new board game project, which is Vanguard Normandy. This is the 1 to 4 player game. You get 2 players worth of stuff in the core box, but you can expand it up to 3 to 4 with a little booster pack alongside this as well, which is included as part of the campaign, obviously. You will take on the role of either the US or the Germans during World War II, and that's Normandy push. There are a couple of different campaigns effectively in the box set. So you've got a solo campaign that you can play through, where you take on the role of the US. And then there is also a team-based campaign in there as well, all inspired by historical events. The maps and the scenarios that you play through will play out with some sort of like notable battlefields. So you'll have things like Omaha Beach, you'll have Carentan and all that kind of stuff as well. So there's lots of notable locations that you can visit as part of this and play through some big battles, as well as just creating your own as well. One of the nice things about it is that you've got that hex-based map that you will have seen, which is very modular, so you can flip over different tiles and build different environments. So even once you've played through the campaign, you can come back and you can set up your own scenarios and stuff using that and play through those. And obviously there is plenty of room for expansion when it comes to just creating more boards for people to play on as well. In the game itself, it uses very simple, quick and easy mechanics. There's an order system where you draw tokens from a bag and they get used to activate units. So you draw a token from the bag, has US on it. You use that to either activate your troops or your vehicles or your command or whatever, and you'll be able to move around the board and attack your enemies. All of the damage is resolved via those special dice that you saw there as well. So you roll those, and it's a very quick and easy hit or didn't hit system where you can use defense to kind of like cancel out hits. And then you just do wounds to particular units and then remove them if you destroy them. One of the nice things that I quite liked about the way that you effectively win the game is that you accumulate victory points over the course of this by controlling sectors on the battlefield, which then feeds into your resource management and your supply lines that you then build up during the course of the game. But infantry are the key to holding those. So they actually have, you can't just roll in with your tanks to try and take objectives because you're in tanks. So having the actual infantry there to hold down particular areas and towns and farms and all that kind of thing is quite important to the success of your scenario and whether or not you win or not. One of the other nice things I quite liked about this, and obviously feeds into the resource management element and that kind of board game feel, think like classic RTS in a way, is that you'll build up supply points during the course of the game, and these can then be used to unlock new vehicles and units throughout the course of your scenario. And there's a really nice kind of back and forth between you and the opponent, because maybe they bring in heavy armor that they need to kind of smash through the enemy lines. Well, then you then look to bring in anti-tank to try and take them out and stop them from pushing through your lines and stuff like that. So there's always this really interesting back and forth. And it means that between scenarios, you can kind of change up your tactics. So even if your opponent thinks you're going to be going down one route, you could maybe switch it up on them, just go really infantry heavy, lots of specialists, try and sneak around the board, try and take objectives that way instead. And then use that to kind of sabotage them as well, which I thought was quite cool. It's a little bonus thing to it.
I was going to say it has a very sort of Company of Heroes feel about it.
Yes, very Company of Heroes, very Memoir 44, very Tide of Iron, all of that kind of thing all built together into this one as well. I really appreciated the fact that Warlord have clearly looked at what they've learned from things like Combined Arms, and they've
Mhm.
really tried to hone in on what makes board games tick and what's nice from similar games of this style, and try to draw on that, but also use elements of like bolt action as well, and sort of fed that into the system and what they're trying to bring. I like that it is inherently a board game. It's not a miniatures game on a map. It's not like a kill team style thing or anything like that. It's a proper full on board game where you got proper hexes and counters and all that kind of stuff as well. The actual forces for both sides come in those colored plastics, so you don't need to do any painting if you don't want to, but of course you can, which would be a nice little bonus if you wanted to play around some little tiny tonks and some little tiny men. A couple of other mechanics that they've talked about as well, which are quite nice before we dive into actually what's available as part of the pledges and stuff. So there's it's become quite a buzzword, I suppose, in wargaming, but there's an underdog mechanic. So if you start to fall behind in terms of victory points, you can use these abilities as part of those cards to kind of give yourself a leg up to try and get back into the fight. But if you use too many of them, then it can basically end up with you losing the game. So you have to really measure how much you use, and then when you use these abilities at the right time. And obviously falling behind is no fun for everybody. So I like that there's kind of like a leveling out mechanic there, but I like that it's not too powerful. And yeah, when it comes to the actual campaign itself and the pledge options things, so at the beginning, there's the option to get your hands on just effectively the core game, which gets you the 2-player version of this, or you can get the additional stuff, which will allow you to get the 3 to 4 player booster pack effectively for the game. And then there's a few extra bits and pieces that you can tag in as add-ons and stuff to kind of enhance the game itself. They are working to kind of make this as plush and nice as possible, and you can see through some of the stretch goals that you've got there. The bag now has that wonderful Vanguard logo on it, new maps, engraved dice, which is a nice little touch, and then lots of additional units that they're looking to throw in there as well for both the US and the Germans on the tabletop too. So yeah, it looks like a really fun little project. I like that it's going well for Warlord as well, especially for them stepping into the board game sphere properly for the first time. I think they've really definitely put the effort in. I think that the slight delay on the campaign from the beginning of October to now has been great for them to kind of smooth out some of the rough edges and make sure that they've got a polished product. And there's a couple of videos on there for you to check out so you can learn the rules. And there's also a full rule book that you can download as well and have a look through. It's only 7 pages. So
yeah. See, this first time on Kickstarter, I just wanted it to go underneath Star first time as well.
Yes, that'd be.
Just leave it at that. Don't say anymore. Yeah. Just move on.
Me too.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping it was going to be the meme in some ways with from the Western movie. That would be good. But yeah, first time.
Oh, first time.
Yeah. From Buster Scruggs. Yeah,
yes,
cool. But yeah, we actually have a copy of Vanguard Normandy coming to the studio in the near future. So hopefully we'll be able to give it a shot and see what it's like.
But,
yeah, I'd be quite interested in this one personally. I'm not looking at the pledges.
Preview coming from Storm of Steel as well today. So after the show, we're almost finished. You can go and check out Storm of Steel's YouTube channel. Go there, watch that, see what he thinks. He's a big fan of his. I suppose I'll be updated on this anyway, but you just go to his YouTube channel, subscribe when you're there, watch his stuff. He's a good
away.
Right. Obviously massively funded already.
Yes.
And there's still a fortnight left on it. So if you're looking to get involved with some of that, if you don't have Tide of Iron, that's probably a good way of doing it.
Yep.
I have Tide of Iron though, so I'm going to stick with mine. I don't need a second hex map World War II game. I don't. I've got one.
Well, it's okay. The studio will have a copy, so it's fine.
It might.
Wow.
Prize it from John's cold dead hands.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Loki going on cyberpunk.
Yeah. So as you say, the proper pronunciation, Loki BattleMats. They are back on backer kit with another campaign that is looking to make lots of cyberpunk red role players very, very happy indeed. So if everyone doesn't know, Cyberpunk Red is the kind of revamp and update of the R. Talsorian hit role-playing game, Cyberpunk, set in a slightly a further future on from where they were in 2020, obviously. back during the old days.
We
I
reached
still have that
2020 and I still don't have my Wolvers.
Exactly. Where's my Mr. Stud? But yes, this is a new campaign which is looking to add in 2 big books alongside a whole host of other bits and pieces. So Loki have already done things like the big BattleMat books and things for Cyberpunk Red. This collects them together into a couple of different sets. The big, massive books come with loads of already detailed scenario setups for you to dive into and start playing out lots of different scenarios, wherever that might be in Night City and beyond. They can actually be joined together as well to create much larger encounters if you're looking to dive in and play bigger fights on the tabletop. What I really quite like about it as well is that if you start to put a couple of the big books together, suddenly that becomes a really nice setting for you to play out some of the skirmish games as well. So if you've seen Combat Zone, which is the Monster Fight Club skirmish game set in the Cyberpunk Red timeline and universe, you could actually use these to set up some really cool battles, as well as a whole host of other Cyberpunk games, if you so desired as well. All of the maps are wiped clean, so if you just use like a board eraser or whatever on these, you'll be absolutely fine. You can just scribble on it and then remove it if you like. And then they've also designed a whole bunch of additional sort of tokens and accessories for these as well, which we saw pop up in some of the images as part of the trailer. So you've got like loads of set-on pieces of scenery, so you can set up things like interiors and stuff, or streets full of garbage and everything else like that as well. And they've also done that really nice chase pack. So it's a set of just vehicles and roads.
Really long road.
Yeah. So you can do a proper cool chase through the outlands outside Night City. If you really wanted to go down that route with the nomads and stuff, that would be a really nice way to go.
Or just trying to cross the road.
Or just try and cross the road and get hit by a car.
Playing the
car
Cyberpunk,
glitches. Yeah.
Cyberpunk Red version of Frogger.
Yes.
That's it, yeah. That's the game I was thinking of.
But it's just a cyber psycho. It's they've also done a really nice thing, which, I mean, they didn't necessarily have to do this, but there's like a box that you can get, which is playable. So it has all the details and all the really nice graphics from Loke around the outside of the box and then the interior. So if you wanted to set that on top of a map or maybe have it separately and show off an interior location, you could do if you wanted to play out your games. Obviously, to have to use things like miniatures with these, you could just use tokens and things if you've got them lying around. But as I say, there's plenty of really nice cyberpunk miniatures from Monster Fight Club if you wanted to use those in your games as well. Double dunt it, bring it all together. Very nice indeed. In addition to all of that, there's a couple of different options for you to go down if you want to dive in. So if you don't want to get the physical stuff, they're also offering digital versions of these. So if you play lots of the virtual tabletops, you can use those. Sirenscape have also come on board, or are going to come on board to do like a sound pack as well. So you can use that to kind of really take your games to the next level. Obviously, that would be really nice for use in physical games as well as ones online. And yeah, they've also got a full adventure for you to play through as well. That's been written by, been put together by Loke. It's set in like an unofficial timeline or whatever of Cyberpunk Red, so it's not like a fully endorsed R. Talsorian supplement, but it's got a cat involved, which who wouldn't want to have a cat involved? I played Stray, so yeah, cats belong in Cyberpunk, so yeah. There we go. So that's included. But yes, really nice big bundle of stuff. Obviously gives you a little bit of a discount from buying it at retail anyway. And the Loki stuff is just gorgeous. The finish on all of their battle mats and everything is fantastic. Really high quality stuff. Their adventures are really fun as well. Got a couple of them as part of Free RPG Day, and they're really nice to dive into. So if you're looking to basically enhance your Cyberpunk Red role-playing games, definitely go and check out the campaign over and back kit and get it for yourself. You will not regret it. So yeah.
Fancy smancy. There's a whole 23 days left on that, so bag of time to get in. Already funded anyway, so you just back your kit yourself to goodness.
And the nice thing as well is a lot of the stuff from Loki ends up on their retail store fairly soon afterwards as well. So if you maybe want to get a few bits and pieces from this, if you just want to test it out and then come back later, a lot of it will end up being on there anyway. So nice turnaround on stuff from the folks at Loki. So
sweet like candy. Right, and final one to take a look at from Electi Studios.
Yeah. So Electi Studios are publishing a new game from Alex Van Allen, which is an amazing name, who was the mind behind Dead by Lead, which was available in one of the blaster mags that was done by Electi, again, not too long ago. This is, again, up on backer kit, and it's kind of a little bit sort of in the same vein as things like Silver Bayonet and stuff. It's a skirmish game for 1 to 4 players set against the backdrop of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, so the Washington Irving book, which I read when I was doing my Gothic literature at university.
I think you'll find I've seen the Tim Burton movie.
That counts. That's all good. Yeah. I won't. Oh, no, I'll tell you this now. I once tried to get through a Gothic literature seminar by reading the graphic novel of Telltale Heart, and that did not go down well. No. So there we go. Don't do that, kids. But yes, so this has been designed, as I say, as
it worked for Tom Berenger in Major League, where he made the comic book version of Moby Dick.
Yeah.
There's a reference for the kids.
So, but yeah.
Bring it home, all the references. Anyway.
But yes, 1 to 4 player cooperative game, which is played out on small 3x3 tabletops, so you don't need a lot of room to play this game. 1 to 5 players, sorry, actually, as I've just read that. They've changed that graphic since I last saw it. Damn
cheaters!
But yes, so it's set against the backdrop of Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and it's set during the colonial period of America in the 1800s, where a haunting has started in the Hudson Valley, and the Headless Horseman is out and about, rampaging through the valley, causing all sorts of terror and mischief and everything like that. And so you take on the role of investigators and mercenaries and soldiers and townsfolk, and you dive into a series of games that follow a sort of a campaign through, where you're trying to uncover clues, do investigations, save key townsfolk, battle against terrifying monsters and all that kind of thing, to try and stop the Headless Horseman from taking over and basically ruling the valley and causing untold destruction. As you go through each of the different games, each player effectively makes almost like an RPG style character. So it's not like a sort of more classic skirmish game where maybe you control a group of characters. You are an individual almost. And you'll be trying to, as I say, uncover clues, save people and all that kind of thing. But every time that you screw up and maybe a civilian dies or the Headless Horseman takes their head or rides off with them or something like that, the status of Hudson Valley slowly decreases. So you'll get less access to supplies, all that holy water and all that kind of thing. Maybe if the priest gets taken away by the Headless Horseman. And you'll also have less chances to try and stop the Headless Horseman. And so there's this really interesting sort of balancing act there between defeating all the monsters or whatever, or protecting the civilians who might be getting barricaded in their house and beaten up by, cultists of the Headless Horseman and all that kind of stuff as well. So there's a really nice kind of like narrative storytelling element built into it, which I think is a really nice touch. There are a couple of different options when it comes to pledges for this. So you can go in and get digital versions of things. So you can get the digital rulebook. You can also get all the STL files. We saw some of the STL files for the multi-part hero kit that they've been doing for this, which is a really nice set anyway. A lot of people like that it had a throwing dagger guy in there, which is something that you don't necessarily see very often. But it's a really nice kit. It really reminds me of the classic militia set from the Empire back in the day.
Or the Mordheim plastics, as they were known.
Yes. So you can get them obviously digitally, but you can also get them physically as well. So they will actually send out physical versions of the different multi-part kits and the character for the Headless Horseman and all that kind of stuff as well. And they're also looking to, as the campaign goes on, unlock loads of additional stuff as well. So as you pledge, they're unlocking additional characters, additional foes for you to come up against as well. So like ghosts and ghouls and everything else. They're also at the tippy top of the end of this. If they get there, they will also unlock the ability to make a proper sprue as well for the multi-part heroes, which would be a really nice addition to this. But that one's sort of like much further down the line. But there's still quite a few days left in this campaign anyway for you to get involved with it. Looks really cool. Love the idea of it being done kind of like in 1800s colonial America, telling that kind of folklore story as well. Really nice touch. The fact that it sort of plays out for between 1 to 5 players, and you get to dive in and have some fun in this kind of like narrative style scenario, I think it's a really nice touch. Really good for people who want to maybe get set up for something spooky next year after we've passed it obviously this year now. But fun little project, and the art by Sam Lofty is lovely as well, and really helps sell the book. And you'll also note that Jerry hovered over a quick start as well. So if you want to try before you buy, maybe have a look at it and see what you think of the game, you can go in and check it out there and have a crack at it there as well. Yeah, and obviously, if you like Dead by Lead, then you're probably going to like Van Allen's new game here as well. So yeah, check it out for yourself.
2x2.
Why would they keep changing things? It says 3x3 on the
2x2 in the rules.
Cool. Yeah, it's 2x2. There we
Hero
go.
phase, villager phase, monster phase. It does really have a sort of a bayonet-y feel to things as well.
Yeah.
I like this. The ravaged
like,
ghouls in an order determined by a random dice roll.
So yeah, go and check it out. See what you think. Something a little bit different. Another indie game for you to have a pop at. And if you've got some miniatures lying around for historical games or Silverbane or whatever, maybe use those to test it out and see what you think. So, yeah.
Cracking stuff. Interesting to see where that goes, especially the colonial north. It's not a period you see a huge amount of civilian-y typey things for.
No, yeah.
So it's a nice looking set of figures that aren't just connected to the American War of Independence or French Indian Wars, whatever it happens to be. So something a little bit different, a little bit woo. And then obviously people will just be immediately online looking at the ones and zeros trying to find Sleepy Hollow stuff, won't they?
Yes, they will.
Yes. Everybody wants Miranda Richardson.
Yeah.
Right. Enough of that. We shall away. We shall return, though. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah.
But if that's too long to wait, next Friday, so very, very far, then you can join us on Sunday morning over at OnTableTop.com for the Cult of Games XLBS. If you're not already a cultist, you can join us for a 30-day trial. It's completely free. You can see what Warren's eating this week. Until next time, away.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.